Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast. Now into our 5th season, looking into the exciting happenings of Ipswich Town Football Club. My name, Il Nom, is Benjamin Bloom, and you are tuned into the flagship show, available each and every week on video and audio. So, for a sometimes irreverent but always informative hour or more football conversation, make your Monday a Blue Monday. He is the daddy in the Toy Story t-shirt, expert on all things football manager and academy football. For his first flagship appearance of the season, weighing in it, I've overdone it now, haven't I? You know when Bruce Springsteen used to introduce Clarence Clemens, the sax player, and it just used to go on and on. Here's Joe, everybody. How you doing, Joe?
Yeah, good, cheers.
I gave him the big build-up and he's good cheers.
That's it. It's just
Yeah. I didn't know how to follow that.
You're a bit more understated than me today, Joe.
Played it down.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll look at the stats. We look for hours and hours, or we send Dave to watch them for 5 minutes. The best eyes on the terraces. Here he is, the two-footed former. Who do you used to play for, Dave?
No one of any consequence, mate.
Former
no, I'm not.
Manchester United midfielder.
Yeah.
David Diamond. What's happening,
Right.
Dave?
Yeah, good. How's you?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm going on holiday.
You're not having sort of bit of game withdrawal this weekend, only having taken in one game instead of your usual six.
No, so I did 4 games last week, Joe, and by the time I got back from the third one on Sunday, I was like, I've got to drive to Huddersfield tomorrow. Oh.
You were championshiped out, weren't you?
You need a chauffeur, really, Ben, don't you?
Are you offering?
No.
No. I don't want to have a pop at Huddersfield, but have you been? Have either of you been?
Yeah, I've been.
Interesting place, Dave.
Yeah, I've been to Huddersfield. Yeah,
No,
not the football ground.
You don't sell your telephone number business in Huddersfield.
I have done in the past, but not.
Joe, he's sold something to everybody everywhere, hasn't he?
Snow to Eskimos.
And look at this. That's wiping off just like that without water, Joe. There you go.
Who does your tampons?
Unrehearsed. On cue.
Unrehearsed.
David, the transfer window closed at 5 p.m. on Thursday for Premier League and Championship clubs. Ipswich make no further sales. Talk to me about this new window where if it was possible for it to be more convoluted, it is now more convoluted because
I don't even know. I don't think I can. When you said that, I thought I don't think I can explain it. I'm hands up. I'm not even sure how it works.
I will explain it to you, Dave. So Championship and Premier League clubs now cannot buy anybody.
I knew that. Okay.
And League One and below have their window on Monday, the 2nd of September. Andy Warren reported a lot of the League One managers saying it had a bit of a weird effect because now we basically get 4 tiers. You basically get Championship money transfers. Then on the last day, all the players that aren't going anywhere go for loan. Then you're going to get League One money if anybody's got anything to spend at all, which is unlikely. And then you're going to get the dribs and drabs of the rest of the loans. So I think it's going to rumble on till September the 2nd. How does this affect Ipswich? And do you, if it is a strategy, no one else went out the door, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose from as it is now, that's it as far as you would think players going out the door or players of any significance going out the door. I assume it's not going to rule out certain players such as, let's put him up there, I hate to say Josh Emmanuel, clearly he's very much out of favour. Joe might have an opinion on this as well, but it wouldn't be any surprise if you saw him go to a fellow League One, League Two club, I guess, maybe potentially on loan. It was all fairly quiet as far as we were concerned last week. Didn't Aaron Drinan went to Sweden, I think.
He did,
and Cotter was linked with that. I think Barry Cotter
went out there as well, but wasn't taken on. Joe Lambert still talks about 3 players. Do you think it's possible that would obviously have to be? Oh no, they could be
out of contract, couldn't they?
Yeah, well, and Premier League and Championship clubs can sell, they just can't buy. So,
right, yeah.
What can you see happening, Joe?
Well, I think there's a few players that are out of contract. Maybe some that have tried to hang on to get a sort of championship move, and it hasn't happened. So now they've got to start reassessing their options because otherwise they're not going to be playing anywhere till January. I think one of those is it Nathan Thompson, who was a Portsmouth right back. His contract was up in the summer. He elected not to sign one to try and get into the top 2 tiers. Hasn't, and now is a player that will end up in League One, back in League One. So he's just an example that someone posted on the message board that I read about, but I'm sure there's other players in a similar boat that were trying to get moves to the Championship that haven't materialised, and now because their window is totally shut, they're sort of now having to look at their options in League One and League Two.
Dave,
can a Portsmouth lad play centre half, Joe?
Dave, I expected Jared Bowen and Saeed Benrahma to have been sold, so maybe we could go in for one or both of those two.
Oh, yeah, come on, bring it on, absolutely. What about the other lad? What about the Stoke lad, Berahino? What's happened to him? He's kicking around somewhere, or he's not kicking around anywhere, is he? What's going on with him?
He's signed for a Belgian side. They've paid up.
Signed for someone.
Zulte Varagem or.
Okay.
There it is. A Flash Gordon villain. Joe, Jack Lancaster will be having surgery for a second, apparently different back injury than the one he got. Which game was that in? Was that in the Millwall game?
I don't know. I think it was a couple of games after that.
No, he scored in the Millwall game, didn't he?
He did.
Middle of January. Yeah.
But I don't recall. Anyway, a new injury which apparently is going to require 5 months of rehab. You know what? They tried to make me go to rehab, but I said, talk to me about the player and the injury. Bit of a disappointing one, this one.
Yeah, massively disappointing because he was one out of all the young players that you thought could really step up this season. Lambert trusted him, was playing him in a role which wasn't requiring a huge amount of tracking back and just sort of telling the players to get him on the ball and trying to get him to make things happen without a huge amount of regard for it going wrong. He was really given license to do what he wanted to do at the start of last year, but it's just frustrating, isn't it? An injury that was billed is going to be out for a few weeks, and it's going to be a year, isn't it? From January to that's 5 months. I've heard from someone today that it might not be as long as that. That he could be back in sort of December time.
But Joe, surely they're 2 unusual injuries. I know he's a young lad
different
growing
injuries, David,
growing as well, but 2 stress fractures of the back suggests to me, and I hope not, that there is a weakness. You know, I know it's a different injury, but I've never heard of that before. That's really unusual.
Yeah, I think he's having surgery this week, which will. I'd say maybe I'll save some more of that for offline.
Well, okay, yeah, great. Yeah. I know where you're going. I think we know where you're going with that.
Disappointing. Dave, Kane Vincent Young of Colchester, who I believe came to see us earlier in the year, right fullback, again being linked with Town. Donasian has the shirt. Emmanuel is cover. Although you've spoilt my thunder slightly. Emmanuel clearly not fancied. Can you see Kane Vincent Young come in maybe first of the 3 new players?
Yeah, I mean, my only take on that is he's a young player. He's still obviously under contract, and surely they would want something for him, wouldn't they? They demand a fee, which I'm not sure is going to be forthcoming at all.
Because he came on our pre-season tour last year with Paul Hurst, and Hurst elected not to sign him. At that point, he was out of contract, but there'd have been due a couple of 100,000 compensation at that point.
All right.
But apparently now, like Luton apparently had a bid of 1.2 million rejected for him last week. So
that's not going to happen.
Okay. Yes.
we just sort of knocked that on the head now.
But then Stu's reported it in the EADT and sort of fairly strongly. So he seems to think something is happening with it. Maybe to take it full circle, maybe Josh Emmanuel goes there as part of any deal.
Make weight, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I saw Luke, I think, on Twitter had said that's to Stu, and it wasn't something that had been considered. But when you read it, it did seem to make a lot of sense, actually. Manuel being, I think he's from that way as well.
He's certainly from south, isn't he? That would be a more likely. So he's a make weight potentially in the deal. Yeah.
Interesting. Joe, James Norwood has been taking his phone out of his pocket and pressing the Twitter app again, as he likes to do. On Friday night, with Norwich losing 4-0 at half-time to Liverpool, he posted a picture of himself, Timu Pukki and Max Aarons taken at the EFL Awards dinner, saying, All the best, chaps. Just remember what I told you, because I can't. Does this come under fun football banter, or should Norwood not be winding up our friends in Norfolk?
I think it comes under the banter side of it. He's obviously a fairly intelligent bloke, because he can sort of put himself into these situations and withdraw from them, and he's not saying anything silly. And I think he had a history of doing this sort of thing with Tranmere last year. He's just someone that just likes to wind fans up, and you get some people on their high horse saying that it's not very professional to do it. He's not using bad language. He's just having a poke at them and football fans on Twitter in overreacting shock horror.
Dave, was it just banter?
I think it was just banter, wasn't it?
It was just banter. No dark forces at work.
I don't think so.
We're going to go to Portman Road. But all go and follow James Norwood on Twitter, by the way.
It's fine.
We're going to Portman Road, Dave. Before we get to the game, 24,000 in ticket sales. Away end at Burton sold out. Away end at Luton sold out. 3,500 tickets sold for Peterborough. We know we get tickets moving quickly at this time of the season. This feels pretty noteworthy, no?
Absolutely. No, I went yesterday with Stat and we said that on the way down. I mean, it's almost unprecedented. I think that, didn't we, was it last season or season before? No, not under Hurst, but season before, I think, under the manager before Hurst, didn't we get something like 13.5 for the what was it, Blackburn game, I think it was. Was it the Blackburn? No, was it the Birmingham game? Was it Blackburn? Where Giselle got his injury.
Well, the Birmingham game, Dave, they let 1,000 NHS in for free, didn't they?
That's true. Yeah, that boosted it. Yeah, so it was brilliant, absolutely superb. I mean, obviously Sunderland bought nigh on 2,000, which we thought they would do, and they were fairly quiet until halfway through the second half. But it was great to see Portman Road anywhere near full again. It's brilliant. Yeah.
Is this going to be a sales spike, Dave, or is it going to continue like this?
Who's next up? Wimbledon at home on Tuesday week. Yeah, probably a bit of a spike for that game, I'd fancy, Ben. We'll see. Obviously, I think a lot will depend a little bit on the next. You'd think on the next two games to get the casual support turning up, but we'll see.
Joe, here's your team, and Dave's going to be sending me more Mike Bassett 4-4-2 gifts, isn't he? So 4-4-2 again, second game running, only one change. So your team looks like this: Holly in goal, Danasian right back, Wolfenden. In comes Luke Chambers at captain and centre half. Miles Kenlock retains his place at left back. Skews and Downs centre midfield. Rowe down the right, Garbutt down the left. Norwood and Jackson up front. Joe, thoughts on the personnel and the system, which we're probably going to debate for at least another 10 games until this settles down?
I was surprised that it was two up front again, because Lambert seemed to do anything he could to get away from that last season. Whenever a game went badly, we'd always go back to one up front, and through pre-season that was the case. But I was glad to see it, because I think the way we're going to get out of this league is to outscore other teams. And I understand the point you make about one up front not being less attacking, but I think having Norwood and Jackson up there as a pairing, they do just bully the defenders and drag them around all over the place, and sort of seem to be striking up quite a good partnership so far. I was surprised that Judge didn't come in for Jackson. I wasn't surprised to see Chambers in for Wilson, because at the end of the day, Wilson didn't even get through 90 minutes last week. He went down with cramp, and Chambers is your club captain, and he's going to come in ahead of James Wilson, who's a short-term signing. So, like I say, I wasn't hugely surprised by that.
Dave, forget the system and the two up front thing, because you and I have debated that and will continue to do so for the rest of the season. In this starting 11, Kenlock, Wolfenden and Downs, is this the start of a cluster of young kind of academy prospects actually staying in the team now?
I think so. I honestly think so. Yeah, I mean, certainly I see on the evidence of what I saw yesterday, certainly Wolfenden and Downs. And I think Kenlock did okay yesterday. Kenlock did well enough. And on the basis of what I saw for the majority of the first half yesterday, I certainly wouldn't have, if Kenlock wasn't playing, I guess the option would be to drop Garbutt back there, and I certainly wouldn't, no way would I drop him back there. I think the side just looked like it had a nice balance to it yesterday. Danasian at full back, for me, jury's out slightly, but again, did okay. But yeah, I just thought the side had a nice balance to it, and I agree. Those three, probably should certainly, should stay in the team.
You love to see it. You love to see it, Dave.
Joe, I mean, I no reason why not. I mean, I thought Downs again was outstanding yesterday. Arguably, I thought we'll say Bill perhaps save that anyway. Go on, yeah.
But I think talking about balance, I think even Downs and Skuse as a midfield pairing seem to have a real good balance in there. I thought Skuse covers for Downs really well and gives him that license to get off and dominate the game, really.
Skuse had a really good game yesterday. Really, a really good Skuse type game yesterday. So games perhaps he wouldn't be so influential in the Championship. That showed it to me yesterday. There's the drop, and there's Skuse. There's Skuse on the ball again. Putting his foot in and winning possession and just giving it. Yeah.
Well, when Lambert first came in charge, Skuse played really well for the first few games. It's like, if he can play like this, he's going to be a big player. But then he suffered that injury and he rushed back from that because he just was never fit. And he seems to have picked up his form this season from where he left it before his injury last year, as opposed to the end of the season.
And I think he's a really good influence alongside Downs, and really experienced. He's a good influence because we know that Downs is prone to a bit of hot-headedness. So I just thought the two, you're right, just complemented each other really, really nicely. Yeah.
Compliments. Sunderland look like this, Dave. This is playoff runners-up from last season. McLaughlin in goal and then McLaughlin at right back. Hours of fun. Willis, Flanagan, Hume makes up the back four. Midfield.
I'll stop you there. Hume just might be one of the worst professional footballers I've ever seen. Carry on.
that Willis was dreadful as well, wasn't he? Though.
I'm sorry. He's probably a really young lad. He's probably a very good footballer, but wow, he had a stinker first half.
Dave, the listeners are going to want it. Give us a crap.
Willis,
Dave, come on.
Terrible. He was number 4.
No, I'm saving that. You know what I'm saving that for?
I thought Joe was doing that goal.
Oh yeah, but as soon as you announce it, it's coming. Don't worry, I'm building up to it.
Tune in, guys. There's going to be a crap later in the podcast. You bookmark it for about 5 minutes time. Dobson, McGouch, and O'Neill in midfield. Dave, one of your favourites, McGeady, one of Richard's favourites, McNulty, and Gooch. We know that everybody loves the Gooch. Stop, Ben. Stop. How did that look to you, Dave? Remember, in context, this is a fearsome League One team that was runners up in the playoffs last year. I'm statement of fact.
You go on.
I'm back.
You're back. Right. Stop it.
Go ahead.
Right, no, sorry. Well, you thought, what was the question? Go on.
The question, the Sunderland team, and on paper it's fearsome statistically.
Is it?
Statistically, yes.
Really? Christ. Yeah, shocking. All over the place. First half, absolutely all over the place. And it was an odd one where we didn't really miss chances as such, not point blank chances. I felt, we created some really good situations first half, and we'll get to the goals in a minute, but we just perhaps on another day got perhaps a more kind of bounce on the ball in certain situations, and we would have been 2 or 3 up at half time. They were all over the place. Fair play, obviously. Well, it wasn't hard to identify the issues at half time, and I think it was Joe or someone put on WhatsApp, Christ almighty, someone's actually gone like for like with us for once, unheard of, for God's sake, so something needed to be done, because they were shocking, and everyone, people around me were saying, Christ, if this is supposedly one of the best that League One's got to offer, we are going to get 100 points and score 100 goals, I mean, dear, awful.
You agree with that, Joe?
Yeah, no, they were dreadful, weren't they? They could barely string 3 passes together. Every time they got the ball, they just lose it. I think it helped that we were pressing them really high and sort of taking the most out of their new system that they're trying to implement, or of this 3-4-3. So we just did not let them settle at all, and they were poor. And to go in at only 1-0, you thought, we've let them off the hook there.
Big time. I couldn't even tell you what system they were playing. Honestly, they
3-4-3, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was, but they were all over the place. But you're right. We pressed really well. Skuse, Downs, and the two front men absolutely worked their socks off. Yeah. Ben. Yeah, you would have been shocked at how bad they were. Honestly.
I was at the playoff final, and to be fair, they had Leadbitter and Catamol in midfield. So obviously
they would have made I think they would have made a difference yesterday. A bit more.
But I do remember sitting there thinking, This is the first time I've seen a Jack Ross team. They're playing at Wembley. I know it's a long season for them. And my words were to the guy I was sat with, is this the best? Is this the best he's come up with the parachute money and all of this jazz? But there you go. Anyway, so Dave, 15 minutes. Luke Garbutt, what was it? 11 minutes last week, 15 minutes this week.
Yeah.
That must make him one of the top scorers in the league as well. Take us through this second goal
as
by
Joe
Mr.
said, we
Garbutt.
were on it right from the kick-off. Good high press, good press right through the team. It starts with a sort of fairly innocuous throw down right near the halfway line. I think just in the Sunderland half. Denouncing, which I always like to see. Get it, if in doubt, get it down the line, threw it down the line, and Norwood.
4-4-2. Throw it down the line, get it forward.
Mate, get on. And Norwood, as he did all day, competed for the ball. Bit of wind assistance. It was quite windy at Portman Road. Shock yesterday. And then it got sort of ball. Norwood challenges Mark. I don't think anyone got a touch on it. Rowe then put in a challenge. The ball went a bit further on. Rowe then put in a challenge. And the ball, I think Sunderland defender just got half, probably the hapless Hume, got half a foot on the ball, deflected it across the box. What was really good here is just one, Garbutt's anticipation, and two, Garbutt's intent. So Garbutt then wins the ball. So he's obviously coming in off the left, wins the ball on the edge of the box and just drives forward. And in amongst it is a really nice cushioned touch with his left foot, which basically takes two defenders out, gets almost to the byline to edge of the 6-yard box, and just passes it in under the keeper right foot. A really, really good goal. And I tell you who that reminded me. I was thinking of today when I was sort of rewatching the goal. Sort of a Tommy Miller type. Drive forward, get ahead of the front two, and just very, very good, well taken goal. Yeah, I don't think Sunderland. I suppose the initial defending on the edge of the box, he could have been perhaps ball watching because Garbutt sort of came in and nicked the ball off him. But class finish, very, very good goal, and deserved at that stage.
You agree with that, Joe?
Yeah, it got to such a tight angle that I just assumed he was going to put it back, but it was a really good finish off his wrong foot as well. Not the only two-footed man in the stadium used to that.
Oh, no, he's not.
Lovely stuff.
Great goal.
Joe, this is what lit up my phone. Full disclosure, I was at Fulham yesterday, but we did have about 18 Blue Monday compadres there.
Can I just say? Can I just make one comment? I know we're not talking about Championship or Fulham. Kearney's goal was quite good. I'll leave it at that.
Stupid, ridiculous. He's really one-footed though.
What a goal though!
Yeah.
Christ almighty.
39 minutes, Joe. Garbutt, he's not going to make it to half-time. Alan Judge comes on, and I'm sure this is going to be the subject of about half of the 1,000 questions we've got in the.
Sorry.
Oh, is that the other half?
No, that was early. Sorry.
Come on, Dave. We wind you up. We set you up for it. You're delivering your catchphrase. Was this a bad call? Or right player in the wrong position, or what's your view, Joe?
There's been a lot of questions asked about Alan Judge over the sort of pre-season, where he's going to play. Is he disciplined enough to play in that left role? And when we were talking about that left role, that was in a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, and he drifts about a lot in that, and you can't afford to do that in a 4-4-2. Garbutt drifts in and gets involved a bit more, but Judge is just all over the place. And when it's not working, which it wasn't yesterday for him, then it really is noticeable how ill-disciplined he can be positionally. And a couple of times you saw Lambert berating him to get back and get across into position. And it just, like I say, I think probably in hindsight, Jordan Roberts maybe coming on the left to keep us with that natural width, because that width was causing them problems.
Or even Hughes. Joe's dead right. It just totally disrupted the tempo, disrupted the shape, and. Yeah, obviously, don't get me wrong. He's obviously a very good technical player. He's a very good technical player, but he's demands the ball. What is clear, as soon as he comes on, he's demanding the ball. And if he's not, and I think part of the problem is if he's not getting the ball wide, he's always going to drift inside looking for the ball. And everyone, particularly in the midfield, everyone, as soon as Judge is on, everyone is just looking to get him the ball, and. Yeah, he's just not disciplined to play. He is not disciplined to play that role at all. And I think it's a good shout, Joe. Yeah, Roberts might well have been a really good option there to bring on and play left.
So interesting. Let's save it.
Such a shame, and I hope just because of the start of the season we had, it's just like an innocuous caution, bang on the knee and a cautionary. At least he walked off and he sort of hobbled.
tweeted that he was okay.
Did he? Did he?
Well, he went down and had treatment a few minutes before and played on, and then he went.
Then he nearly scored. After that was when he nearly scored, wasn't it? The second one when Jackson cut it back, and that could have been aggravating. 'Cause he looked like he sort of like stubbed the shot a bit. He didn't have a clean strike, did he? Whether that jarred his knee a bit more or not, I don't know. But I haven't seen his tweet, but he's tweeted that no issue, he's okay, and it's not too bad.
Yeah, he said it was not a bad one, I think. But look, let's keep our powder dry on the judge thing and the system thing, because we'll get loads and loads of questions. We'll have a good chinwag about that when we've done the game. But yeah, I have a lot to say about that too. Surprise, surprise. Dave, Maguire in for Hume at half time for Sunderland. Uptick in the second half, or much of a muchness as we go to the equalising goal?
I suppose they passed the ball a little bit better, Joe. I think they couldn't be any worse, could they, Joe? They could not have been any worse. I think they had a little bit more control.
We stood off them a lot more in the second half. We let them have a lot of the ball, but
but really,
other than the goal, did they have a shot?
They had the closest they had was, and his only quality thing I think McGeady did all day, where he had that little move, drops his shoulder, hit the early ball in on his right foot from left, just evaded. You'd had a great view of that. I don't think Maguire was pretty close to that, weren't they?
Not as close as.
Oh, really?
I think no.
No.
I'd say that was probably the best they created.
They had nothing. I remember the keeper Holly coming and just sort of getting a ball at the forward's feet, but then the one you'd expect him to get. They had nothing. Oh God.
Right,
yeah, it's a classic.
Are you primed and ready, Dave?
Go on,
Joe. 64 minutes. What the hell happened?
Well, it's just it's a long ball over the top, just a hopeful hooked clearance.
Crap.
Chambers is running back with McNulty.
Rubbish. Go on.
McNulty behind him.
You are a disgrace.
There's
We're losing the ball there. You want bloody shooting? Go on.
Get on the bus.
There's a lot of talk about Holy to
Joe,
come out, but for me, I don't think the keeper needed to come out. I think that was Chambers to deal with, and he's running it back, and he's got the situation totally under control. But I was right in line with it, and sort of for the YouTubers, you'll see this. But when he runs, he looks over his shoulder like that, sees his man there, and then runs another few steps and looks. But the guy's gone on the other side, and I saw that. I thought, oh God, this isn't looking good. And then he looks back a third time, again over that left-hand shoulder, and at that point is when he just gets knocked over. And
Joe, just quickly, can you just give me, in percentage terms, like, was he 70-30 favourite to take that ball, 80-20? What changed? Yeah.
Probably like 100-0.
Yeah, no, honestly, I'd say 90-10. Yeah, honestly, it was a shocker. He looked like, at the end of it, Joe, just as McNulty makes a challenge, it looks like he almost loses his footing. I don't know, he almost goes over the ball. I don't know what he's trying to do, whether he's just trying to throw a dummy step over. I don't know what. It was quite clever from McNulty, because McNulty was quite clever, because, how many times do you see that and the forward gets his shoulder in a little nudge, nailed on free kick. So McNulty, I think, thought, oh yeah, it's Chambers, he's going to, but yeah, no, to be fair, I think McNulty was quite cute and quite clever there.
Yeah, one of the only things I would say is that I didn't think it was a foul personally, but the ref yesterday was giving so many soft free kicks against Norwood and Jackson that I'm surprised. If that was the other way, he'd have probably given it against us. Some of the free kicks given against Norwood were just never free kicks. But like I say, Chambers, he just totally lost his bearings. He was looking over that left shoulder, and he's looking that way. And as he's looking that way, he's coming around this way, and just.
I take on it, Joe. I take on it as far as the foul's concerned. There was no complaint from Chambers or anyone about a potential foul there, was there?
No,
I didn't see it.
No, I personally didn't think it was a foul. It's just the ref was quite inconsistent.
Yeah, it was petty, I think.
Throughout the game, but
as someone said, this is going to be the standard of League One.
Yeah, and then he McNulty does well actually, because he could panic with that and sort of take it in and take a shot from the angle, but Gooch is running in and he just sort of takes a second to look up and picks him out perfectly, and he smashes it in. I don't understand again why Holy doesn't dive back across the goal to try and make himself bigger to try and save it, because he's not
he sort of watches it
that far away from it. I'm not saying he would have saved it, but he didn't really make much of an effort to save it once it was past him. But that was
he took it well. He took it well. He couldn't miss. He took it well, and I thought Gooch overall probably was their best player, wasn't he? He was sort of fairly lively
in answer
throughout.
To your question a few minutes ago, 3 shots from Sunderland, 1 on target. So no other shots on target report the BBC. Dave, how did the last quarter play out after that? Who was the more likely to go on and win the game?
A lot of crap corners from Judge, a lot of crap crosses from Judge.
Stop burying Judge.
No.
There was one decent ball in that we could have scored from.
There was, and I think to be fair to Judge, the wind did play a part. He hits those balls, and he does hit pure. He hits purely through the ball, far post, and I think the wind did play a bit of a factor with some of them. And he did take, to be perfectly honest, one or two good corners. Did we really threaten the keeper after that, Joe? Actually, he had a really pretty decent effort, left foot effort, going across the keeper. Virtually one of the last kicks of the game, didn't he? Keeper actually got down quite well and looked like he was going to spill it, but held on to it. But now he sort of huffed and puffed a bit. I just think the goal just totally took the wind out of everybody's sails because you just couldn't see Sunderland scoring, could you?
No. And it was such a bad goal.
And you know what, Ben? The guy on the Quest show, the EFL show, with a lovely jumper on last night, Ben, that you wouldn't obviously been seen.
Oh, was it Ali Maxwell?
Yeah. He summed it up quite well, I thought. He said, "Yeah, this is Ipswich spilling over from last season. Individual mistake cost them the game."
Wow. Joe, summings up.
Yeah, similar to Dave, really. The second half, we didn't get going in the same way we did in the first half, and conceding such a poor goal did just suck the life out of the stadium. Even really, the atmosphere, everything just went from that point onwards, and it was just like we looked the more likely to score after that, without ever really looking likely to score. And Lambert made a couple of changes, but if I was any criticism, sort of made him a little bit late. Jackson was flagging, and he didn't take him off till 90th minute. And it's a bit like, just get Roberts on there earlier for a bit of presence and see if anything like that could help, just something to freshen it up. And we didn't.
Dazelle put one really quite good ball in, I think. Dazelle, I think, remember, put a pretty neat cross in. Yeah, it's almost like that. It just, okay. I think general shock.
So 4 points from the first two games, which I think is what you predicted, Dave, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I predicted. I might have predicted the other way round. Actually, I think I might have predicted a point away, or maybe I did. Maybe I did say a win and a point. Perhaps I did actually. Yeah, I mean, you take it unbeaten. You take it. It's just so gutting that. I know it's an old cliche. It almost feels like a defeat, but we were so dominant in the first half that it almost does. It's a real shame. But look, undefeated. Completely outplayed one of the favourites. Completely outplayed them. Certainly for an hour at least. So yeah, I think a lot to be cheerful about, and certainly the Kenlock who you hit on, Kenlock, Wolfenden, and Downs. Yeah, very very encouraging. Very encouraging.
Should we do some questions then? We'll try. There's quite a few good ones. So we'll go one each. So Joe, if you go first. This is Isaac, Man City fan, who seems to know a lot about Ipswich. Do you think Downs will go in January to a Championship club if he keeps playing like this?
I wouldn't have thought so, because the money that they'd need to pay for him would be silly in January. He's got a few years left on his contract, and I'd imagine if he carries on playing the way he's playing, we'll be in the top two in January anyway. So we won't be looking to sell anyone.
Dave, this is James Houston. With Judge's introduction yesterday unsettling the shape of the team, would Roberts, who I would say is a more natural wide man, have been a better option? Or should we, and this is the key question, should we change the shape to suit Judge? And I quote our mutual friend Joe Fairs, who said, "You get your best players on the pitch."
Well, if you're going to pitch him on, and he is, clearly he is our best technical player, then yes, there is certainly grounds for that. But I agree, if you're going to stick to the rigid 4-4-2, then certainly yesterday Roberts would have been a much better bet, a much more disciplined substitute. Yeah.
Joe, I mentioned this at the end of last season. It strikes me as now it's Jackson and Judge are the kind of they're the ones that that Lambert has to think hard about. Is there any sense in a kind of Norwood, Judge, like Dak and Graham, where you still have Dave's two rows of four, but then
one just
and Judge can then roam around? Because this annoys me. Because the way Dave describes Judge, that should be a strength. someone who pops up all over the place on the
No,
ball.
no.
If that's done
Yeah.
well,
Absolutely.
no, you're right,
Absolutely.
Dave. That should be a strength. But Joe, where's it going wrong, and what system would fit what Dave just described as technically our best player?
Well, I think we saw when he came on at Burton, he seemed to make a difference in that game and getting on the ball and pushing us forward and helping us sort of dictate play and control the tempo of the game by slowing it down in that middle role in that 4-2-3-1. And I think that is where he needs to play. That's where when he came on against Cambridge in the pre-season and made us look better, that's where he played in that game. You can't stick a player like that on the left-hand side of midfield. If it's a 4-3-3, it's a bit different because you've got that extra central midfielder, and we had a Dezelle or a Hughes who's left-footed who will naturally cover across and help Kenlock out. But when it's a 4-4-2, you cannot
Joe,
just have a big hole in the system, because then when you're attacking or when you lose the ball, you've got two strikers who are out of the game, you've got a left midfielder who's out of the game, and you're just a 4-3 lacking
fullback, and the opposing fullback's
lacking
just got
any balance.
the opposing fullback's just like carte blanche, isn't he? He's just hello, just everything in front of him. He's look, as I say, technical. I think, let's face it, Alan Judge is surely one of the best players. Is going to be, if he stays fit and stays with us, going to be one of the best players in League One, for Christ's sake. But we have to use him properly.
Interesting. And it strikes me that there could have been a scenario where the big picture, it might have been better not to use your quote best player yesterday, but there you go. This interesting one, Dave. Incriminating. At Ben Lucas, was David Diamond lost in the co-op upper yesterday, making everyone stand up because he couldn't find his seat? I think you've been spotted, mate.
Mate, no. Do you know what I did? I was flipping. It was O block, and I took a turn left into Q. And I was out, and this guy out of his seat. I said, "Hey, I think you're in my seat, mate. My seat." He said, So he said, "Have a look." I said, "No, this is Q, mate." And I looked at my ticket. I said, "Oh no, yeah, it's O. Where's O?" It's over there, mate.
Oh.
Lovely seat, right on the end of an aisle. You'll love it, mate.
Beautiful.
And
beautiful.
Exit seat, pucker.
Yeah. Out. Match review. I've just
match
witnessed.
review in the car. I've just witnessed. Ipswich 1, Wimbledon 3.
0. I'm on holiday. I haven't just witnessed anything. I've witnessed my feet on the end of a pool. Joe, this is Ricky Kitchen. Does Lambert take any blame for failing to act in the second half as we failed to maintain the dominance from the first?
I think he has to take some blame, because the 4-4-2 that was working in the first half, when they changed it up to match us, it wasn't really working in the second half. We didn't create a huge amount, and I think he needed to make a change because he needed to. He needed to change something.
Joe, he was looking at that
game
on it last week. It was 53 minutes when he changed last week.
And even when Sunderland scored, it wasn't that the goal was coming, but they were starting to dominate the possession and dominate the play without really doing a lot. And it's like, we need to do something to try and stop this, and we didn't do anything.
Interesting. FPL Tractor's asking about Luton. We'll do that at the end, and then Rich will do that in detail on Wednesday. Dave asks about Garbutt.
Good player.
Right, here we go. This is Nick R. Given PL's reaction to Chambers' mistake, do you think he's prepared to be more ruthless this season? Dave. So let's do Chambers. Let's go. And let's just set this up. Luke Chambers playing his first game. I'm just playing contrarian here. His first game this season, because the last thing he did last season was get himself sent off against Leeds. And he wasn't the only one. Look, we know that the team was rancid last year, worst team in 50 years. We can literally list virtually every player and some dumbass mistake that they made. But Chambers had a few. Would there be a scenario where he is not used?
I don't think. I hate to say it. I don't think it will be. I think he will. He will get picked every game. And look, but then what happens when Enciala's fit? Is Enciala going to walk straight back in the team at the expense of Wolfenden? If Wolfenden keeps up his performance level now. I just don't think he'll undroppable. Is that the right word? I don't know. I think he's just got a mistake in him every game. I honestly do now, and I think the time has come when he perhaps should take a backward step. But I might be totally wrong here. I just can't see Lambert making that decision.
Joe?
I think performances are ultimately going to dictate who's going to play, and Wolfenden is undroppable at the moment. The way he's played in these two
good
games,
footballer.
He's been really good. And
Good footballer.
And if he carries on playing like this until, if he carries on playing like this until the end of the month, the middle of September, when Ntiala's back, Ntiala's not going to be coming back in for Wolfenden. I don't think Ntiala would come in for Chambers because I think that. But if Chambers continues making errors, then he'll be dropped, and I don't think it's as big an issue as a lot of the fan base has made out today.
No, he won't be dropped on the strength of one mistake yesterday. Let's get that right, because up till then, as we've said before, he wasn't largely troubled. Him and Wolfen, I thought, played really well as a pair. Yeah, he wasn't troubled at all. It was just a horrible mistake. But Joe, you're right. It'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting. Wolfenden keeps up his level, which I didn't see him at Burton, but I thought he was outstanding. Yes, they just look so comfortable and they look so natural, doesn't he? Good physique, quick, reads the game well. To me, he looks nailed on to stay. But he's a young kid, and he sometimes it is tough to keep that level of performance up. But
that's maybe to what Joe was saying. Maybe you do give Wolfenden, when there's a 3-game week, you give him 2 games off or whatever, and that's when maybe you might see Ntiala, particularly there's a 3-game week coming up.
How far is
Ntiala? I know Ntiala's
away
end
of the month, beginning of September, Joe.
It was 6 weeks from the Germany thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's the end of the month. They're
so
saying
6 games in, and we said this last week. 6 games in August. So yeah.
But I thought Wolfenden was really good yesterday. I thought he was really good against Burton, but I thought yesterday was even better. I thought his positioning was a lot better. And is that because he had Chambers next to him helping him?
Well, this is another point. And he's got experience talking him through.
That is a young defence there. You've got Donatian, who's not hugely experienced. You got Kenlock on the left, Wolfenden there. You got a keeper behind who hasn't played many games for the club. But ultimately, I'd play Chambers personally because I think he's still a better defender at this level than Ntiala. But if he carries on making mistakes, he won't play.
Yeah, I just think he's just
simple as that.
I just think he's got a mistake in him. I don't know. We'll see. Look, we'll see. Yeah.
Right. It's good to have a bit of competition for places.
No, that's just what I was going to say. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If we get to a position where we can drop our club captain, that's a positive because it means that Ntiala and Wolfenden are playing well.
Right, let's keep this moving. Jordan asked about Chambers. Mark asked about Judge. Martin asked about Judge. Nath asked about Chambers. Tony asked about the 4 points. We've done that. Simon, you've just done that as well about Toto. Here's a good one. Joe, if Garbett is unavailable for the next match, should we stick with 4-4-2? And if so, who replaces him in left midfield?
Do we mean the left?
Change system if Garbett's not around?
We're talking the next league match or next cup match?
Yeah, assume the next league match. We'll do Luton in a minute.
Peterborough, yeah.
Peterborough, yeah. Are you going, Dave?
I can't, Saturday.
Are you going, Joe?
50-50 at the moment.
He's got a husband wife, hasn't he?
Well, we've got a wedding in Chelmsford in the evening, so I'm trying to get her.
That ain't happening, is it?
I've arranged with one of my friends for her mum to give Emma
Marcus a lift Evans helicopter
and me to meet her there. So it's just whether I have the balls to go through with the plan or not.
I'm not sure about that plan. I'm not sure.
So Joe, Garbett's not around next week. Hypothetically, what do you do?
I think we're going to settle on a sort of 4-3-3 this season, 4-2-3-1, and maybe we just try and push on to that. You get Danny Rowe up front with Norwood, and either Judge as one of those 3 or Jackson on one of the flanks, and you get 3 bodies in the middle, and you try from there because Peterborough have been awful as well this season.
Yeah, which is a surprise. So just quickly, I've got a question. What do you think of Rowe yesterday? Again, I like Rowe. I thought he did well again.
Yeah, really, really good. I thought he was excellent against Burton. I don't think he was as good yesterday, but everything he did well yesterday.
Yeah, and track back really well. Tracks back well.
You love Rowe, don't you?
Oh, mate, honestly, there's a proper player there, mate.
No, nice to see him.
He makes things happen, doesn't he?
Nice to see him get a go, isn't it? Dave, Benjamin Aurier, with Marcus Evans matching the funds raised for the Beattie statue, is it fair to say he is rebuilding what was a fractured relationship with the fans.
That's certainly a positive step. Certainly a positive step in the way to ingratiate yourself with the hardcore support. That is, very much so. I'm a bit disappointed it hasn't happened before now, but fantastic gesture.
Joe, I think Demetrius, who we met at the live show, was going back and forth with you and Rich after the last pod, so I'll read his one out. He says, Marcus Evans is the reason we are in League One, but there are signs he is changing the way the club is run for the better. Oh, sorry, but are there signs he is changing the way the club is run for the better?
Yeah, I think what Demetrius was saying yesterday after mine and Rich's pod on Thursday, which is probably quite fair, is that all the good things in the club we were giving the credit to Lambert for, and all the bad things we were saying were Evans' fault, which is probably over the top. And you do have to give, like, if Lambert is doing a good job, then Evans is letting him do this good job and does deserve some credit on that side. It does. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit harsh on him, but it does just feel like a lot of the things which are going better are things that almost been forced on him by Lambert and your Lee O'Neills and people like that. And it's like, how much does he actually believe it, or how much badgering does he take to do it? Because like the community trust coming back is a really good decision, but why was it axed in the first place?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Who was the one making that decision at the time? Yeah. Who was in Evans' ear telling him that was a good decision? Who's in it now? But yeah, I think we have to. I say this. I know Lambert's wanting 3 more players and is grumbling a bit about that, but ultimately, the squad we've got at this level should be more than good enough to take us up to the top 2.
Joe, we'll touch on that in the roundup as well.
Yeah. The things we need to worry about are getting a winning habit and stop making silly mistakes. And I know, but like yesterday, the XG, I know not every massive
heartbreaking.
Fan
God.
We have XG of 3 and they were 0.5. I don't think I've seen Ipswich have an XG that high. And
yeah, Norwood was really high, wasn't he?
Yeah, and it shows that we are creating chances. Like 3. That takes about 5 games to get to
last season.
Really?
So,
yeah. And yes. I think, guys, as well, just from a big point of view, we always have to remember we're coming off the worst team in 50 years of the club's history last season. That's the level that was set last season. So baby steps. Hey, Taco Man asked about Sunderland. You both said they were rubbish. Brad is asking about Luton. We'll talk about that in a minute. Noel, Dave, is it coincidence that Chambers returned to the starting lineup, heralded a return to the calamitous errors at the back, resulting in gift goals to the opposition? Cause and effect? Coincidence?
I'd like to say it's a coincidence, but like I said, I just think he's got a mistake in him every game now, potentially. And I don't think he's quite got perhaps the powers of recovery of perhaps, for instance, argument's sake, an NCR or a Wolfenden.
Interesting. Craig asks about the system. I think we've done that. Tim asks about the 4 points. Beacon Bauer about the centre half. We've done well here. Oh, here's Mullet's one. Joe, Jack Ross went from 3 to 4 at the back and matched us up to great success. Lambert kept was 4-4-2. Is it really a good system for the players we have, given the lack of fit strikers and amount of times we ran into blind alleys? Do we have enough quality up front even to play 4-4-2?
I think that's the issue, that Norwood and Jackson are a good partnership, but there's nothing behind them at all. Like Jordan Roberts is a willing trier, but he's not someone you're going to chuck on to expect to score a goal, is he? If we had Freddie Sears fit and maybe Ben Morris or Ben Falami and one of those kicked on, then yeah, maybe it would work. But you can't continue playing 2 up front when you've only got 2 senior strikers in the squad.
Sears is a miss, and he Sears. I think Sears would be scarily good. But with a Norwood and
Dave, Daryl's asking when Edwards returns. Do you have Edwards over Rowe?
No.
Joe?
No.
Personally, I wouldn't. No, I think Rowe's done really well, but Edwards as well. When he was at Peterborough, he played a lot on the left, coming in from that side. Maybe that's something that could be explored. Edwards on the left, Rowe on the right, Judge in the middle of those 3.
Can I just say, in one of the pre-season shows, I said after 10 games we'll be playing inverted wingers, a 4-2-3-1, and Judge will be at 10. I'm just saying that was said, and just hold my beer, Dave.
Yeah. No, you're probably right.
Interesting. Alistair asks Dave, focus will inevitably be on Chambers, but surely our issues start further up the pitch. As with last season, we leave games on a knife edge because we cannot kill them off and the defence is constantly under pressure. Does the defence creak and make these mistakes because I suppose it's kind of a similar thing to England where you don't actually keep the ball further up?
I don't think it did yesterday because we were so just bloody dominant. Like I said, I don't think the ball was, some of the situations we got in and around their box, the ball didn't sort of bounce that kindly for us yesterday, really. And we created bits and pieces, but did we really create that many clear-cut chances, Joe? I don't think so.
No,
really.
There was a few sort of unlucky bounces, and
exactly
where we were very close to being in, but
yeah,
there wasn't any things we sort of thought that should have been a goal.
Joe,
the only thing we didn't mention, but when Jackson was booked for diving, that didn't look like a dive to me. When he went down in the box.
Yeah, that looked to me.
Joe, this is to Alistair's point about actually being able to keep the ball, create chances, etc. Joe, I remember you and I doing a end of season show, and we were talking about 2017-18 and a run of games, including the famous 1-1 draw at Norwich, where you and I looked at the stats and counted up about 10 games where if Waghorn wasn't playing, we didn't create like a single chance. This is an old problem, isn't it? This pattern of play thing. And I know Mick had successful ways of doing things, but I actually happen to think that the inability to keep the ball is still hung over from a lot of players being drilled in a different way of sitting back and. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we didn't used to creak under pressure under Mick. They liked it.
To be honest, yesterday we held the ball really well.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I can't speak to that.
I think we're holding the ball quite well, and we are moving it nicely, and but it's just the problem is if you're only 1-0 up and there's an error, there's just no margin for error, is there? And that is. We should have been 3-0 up at half time.
Should have been outside.
Had we been 3-0 up, Chambers makes that error, and it don't matter. We're top of the league, 6 points. Looking forward to the next game.
Yeah.
Boom. Jules, Dave, us, just the first position that you would strengthen.
First position I'd strengthen, it's probably fullback, and it's two. Look, a fullback and a striker we need in.
Joe,
for sure.
Yeah, same as Dave, really.
Yeah.
Donatian, I thought he defended quite well, but he doesn't do a huge amount going forward. Ken Locke's got no one pushing him for a place, and
listen, this lad that's just this Dylan Crowe that's just signed a contract extension. There was big talk that he was off to Arsenal or wherever he was off to. Joe, is he anywhere near ready?
I wouldn't say so.
Lambert poured
I don't know.
Cold water on that in the press conference, Dave, as well.
Yeah, it's strange because he is obviously sort of highly rated in England setup, but I haven't seen him play brilliantly when I've watched him, and I think he'll end up being sort of moved inside into sort of a holding midfield role. I think that's where he'll end up because he's just so fast and so good at pressing that he just flies around the pitch that way. But at right back, I don't know. I don't think he'll be defensively strong enough. Certainly not in this league.
Well, what was an interesting point going home in the car yesterday was listening to Mick Mills extolling the potential virtues of playing Cole Skews at right back.
Interesting. But Dave, just quickly on fullbacks, I know I have my head in the clouds dream that we're going to play beautiful football and out from the back and through the fullbacks into centre midfield. I think we're beginning to see your kind of prediction of just be solid, and if the fullbacks can get forward, they might. And
I think so.
During a sloggy League One season. Given what play is going to build very, very slowly, isn't it?
I think you're right. I think given the personnel we've got, I think that's probably right. Yeah.
Right, let's crack through this roundup then, boys. Dive in if you have anything important to say. Southend 1, Blackpool 3. That's Simon Grayson. 2 straight wins, 3-0 up after 37 minutes. Blackpool top of the pile. Rotherham 0, Lincoln 2. Impressive stuff from them Cowley brothers. 6 out of 6, and we didn't expect Rotherham to be losing too many home games at this stage. Fleetwood 2, Wimbledon 1. They're also on 6 points, coming from behind to make up the top 3. Bristol Rovers 0, Wickham 0 on 4 points there. Rochdale 1, Doncaster 1. We've got Rochdale coming up start of September. September. Peterborough, who are next week's opponents, who I'm sure we'll speak about on Wednesday. They go down 1-0 at Oxford. Bit of noise from Mr. McAntony and a bit of money spent. No points. You can talk about this one. Bolton 0, Coventry 0. Average age of Bolton team 19, Joe.
Great.
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Really good result for them and for their fans who are obviously having a tough time at the moment. But that is poor to draw with that side, because that is, you're basically playing their youth team. They had to cancel we're supposed to be playing their under 23s on Monday. And they've had to cancel it because basically their under 23s are playing the first team. I think they were absolutely battered and sort of were lucky to get away with a point, but that is 2 points drop, because I don't know, there's sort of an element of distorting the competition that some teams are playing Bolton when they're a youth team and other teams are going to play them when they're a proper side.
And Dave, we got them on the 24th, yes? Yeah. So I'll take that distortion, Joe. I think.
Good point.
Pompey 2, Tranmere 0. Pompey off the mark, Tranmere 0. And this is what we're talking about, the level. Gillingham 1, Burton 2. So that's the team Ipswich went and won away at that finished 9th last season. Looking fairly decent, coming from behind and missing a penalty. Let's hope the context of what I'm trying to look at is kind of correct there. If I'm doing
consistent,
doing the crap football support and maths there, Joe. Sorry.
But back to the Portsmouth game, their subs that they brought on, Brett Pittman and John Marquis, who they've just paid $2 million for. That's going to be, like I say, they've got a good squad and they've got good strikers, and that's going to be the difference between getting out of this league. And I think we're quite close to a striker from what I've heard, but no idea who it is or anything like that. But something is happening on that. But
Joe Fair scoop.
I don't know. Side Ben Rama, he's coming. MK1 Shrewsbury 0, really muggy late goal there in 93rd minute, and sadly Bury's game postponed again. Fingers crossed for Bury.
Bad.
Right, Luton Town. How annoying is this, Joe? In other selfish wedding news, I am literally at a wedding in Luton. So it's not like I'm at a wedding
on a Tuesday
in Devon on a Tuesday. What? Unbelievable scenes.
Surely you won't miss you for a couple of hours.
I can't pull that one off. So the great Mick McCarthy once said this was the most difficult game of the season, the League Cup first game. So what we're going to do, we're going to try and figure out the team. So we'll go one by one and figure out what you think they're going to do. So Joe, Holy or Norris?
Norris.
Yeah.
Dave, 100%. He's going to play him, isn't
he? Yeah, and he seemed to like him in the press conference, didn't he, as well? Dave, right back, Donacien, Emmanuel, Cotter, Skews.
I think he'll probably give Donacien another go there. Did Donacien play there last week? Burton, he did.
He's played both. Yeah, do you think he'd give him a rest and let Emmanuel have a go?
Well, I don't. You'd like
swap deal to Colchester to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. You'd like to think so. You'd like to think so. But I perhaps see Donacien getting another go there. Actually,
interesting. Joe, left back, Kenlock, Clements.
It wouldn't surprise me to see Bailey Clements have a game because he is the backup, and if we don't get anyone else in, we need to see him in sort of senior action.
Is he up to it, Joe? Is he potentially?
He's a good player. Yeah. He's a good player. I think he will be a good player. He's very sort of steady Eddie sort of thing, and he's not going to let you down. I worry a little bit about physicality with him still, but I think he'll be fine, and I'd like to see him make his debut there.
Dave, 2 from 3. Chambers, Wilson, Wolf.
What do you think? Wilson will play, won't he? Wilson will come in, I'd have thought. May give Wolf a rest there. Yeah, I can see Chamber perhaps giving Chambers a chance to atone for his and he'll want to play, won't he? I think after that he'll want to play. Obviously, he didn't play against Burton, so yeah, potentially I see perhaps Wilson and Chambers there.
What do you think of that, Joe?
Yeah, no, I think that's probably right. Wolfie's been really good, and he's almost first name on the team sheet for the league game on Saturday. So I think just give him a rest. He's still a young lad. No point risking him.
Right. Yep. Joe, you can configure this how the hell you want. So your front 6, Skews Hughes, Downs Dazelle, Judge Roberts, Rowe Jackson, Norwood. You're going to have to play a few first teamers by the look of it.
I think Emir Hughes will have a start. I think should be just about ready to start. He's been on the
Dazelle.
bench the last 2 games played. Yeah, I think Andre Dazelle will start. I haven't worked out how these are going to play yet, but I think Hughes, Dazelle, Jordan Roberts
will
I think
play, won't he?
will come in.
Yeah.
I think maybe even Idris El Mazouni as one of the
I missed him out. Yeah,
one of the three.
Dollar as well.
See Skew's getting a rest potentially there, Joe, just on the bench, perhaps.
Yeah. Problem is, Scoot Sandown, you'd ideally want to rest both of those, wouldn't you? So
Yeah.
you could maybe play Hughes and Dazelle as a sort of 2 in a
Central.
2-3-1 with
that. Sounded that.
El
Very
Mazouni.
offensive.
Who else is there? El
Well,
Mazouni.
Norwood will get a rest, won't he? And Jackson will play up top.
You would think Norwood
Yeah.
would get a rest. Although, again, Norwood, he'll be desperate to play and score, won't he? He hasn't scored yet. I know it's
That's
only
a
2
good
games
point.
in.
That's a good point.
But he'll be
maybe
desperate
you
to
give something like
score.
Norwood an hour and Jackson half an hour. One of those sort of.
So I think I agree
Yeah.
with you guys. I think it's 4-2-3-1 on Tuesday, and yeah, it's just how many of them he gives a rest to. I don't
You
see.
give Judge will start, won't he? Judge will. What do we
Do you
say?
think?
Yeah.
No, do you
Oh
think
no,
he
did
saves
we
him
say
for the
did we both
league?
Judge?
I don't know what you think,
How
Dave.
fit he is. He didn't look that
Well, then-
fit to me yesterday, but I don't know whether
Perhaps
that's
should
because
start
he
then,
was
should play.
struggling. Yeah, you could do Hughes Dazelle as a 2, a 3 of El Mazouni, Judge, Roberts with sort of
Jackson
Norwood
up front.
/ Jackson up front.
Yeah, that sounds plausible, doesn't it? But yeah, interesting. I saw Luton, Dave, on the first Friday of the season.
Yeah, had a go.
Actually quite good. Very quick in
And really,
transition. Just
really
signed.
unlucky by all accounts yesterday.
Yeah.
Cardiff
Well,
plus
James
4 or
Bree
something.
not closing down a cross in the 96th minute, from what I saw.
So I saw
but-
that cross. It was James Bree. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how they'll play that, because sometimes teams like to get a bit of confidence going and play first teamers and try and get the win, try and get the goals, or you take the Mick approach and just write it off and
Crystal Palace away approach. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, where Flynn Downs is your most senior player and captain, isn't he? So how do you see it going at Luton, Dave?
1-0 defeat. No, I don't know. You know what? Do we? Yes, it would be nice. We all said, Christ, we don't win cup games. Yes, it would be lovely. In fact, was that the last cup game we won? Was it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Selena
which
and
was-
McGoldrick up top.
Oh yeah, gosh, yeah. McGoldrick, Brace will certainly won.
Yeah,
Brace,
both. Yeah.
Got them both, yeah.
But look, I
Adam
think
Webster got injured.
again, it's the more crucial game is Peterborough away, and then Wimbledon, Wimbledon midweek. But yeah, I mean, on the face of it, you think, what sort of side we're going to have? Well, yeah, I think the side almost picks itself, because we haven't got that bigger squad. So, and he's not going to do a Crystal Palace away, is he? So, yeah, I think we should give it a go, and yeah, you could nick a result there. How serious they'll take it, again, I don't know. They're what? 1 point from 2 games, but again, have shown
They
that
played Borough and
yeah, exactly.
Cardiff, though.
Have shown they could compete at that, certainly hold their own at that level, certainly early days. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. They strike me as being quite a physical side, yeah?
No, not overly. No,
Not really?
It's all about like the speed and transition. They've got a couple of hulking centre halves, but otherwise
Who's
it's
the guy in-
very
who's the
narrow
guy
and
in
very
midfield?
quick.
Pele, is it
Ruddock.
Pele Ruddock?
He's one you
Tansy
can
was
get
got
about, I tell you. Press that guy. They've got a guy called George Moncur who came on, who'll probably play in this one. Who,
Oh, George Moncur, yeah.
you'd like.
He
Who,
coached it, wasn't he?
yeah, he carries the ball really,
Francis?
really directly. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd like him,
Yeah.
Dave. But Joe, is there no logic to trying to build a pattern of playing a first team at Luton? Or will he just be criticised if someone gets injured?
Yeah.
But I think you also want to try and get your squad fit as well, don't you? You want to give games to people
And
to try.
3-game
Yeah.
week
Yeah.
the following
Yeah.
week. Yeah.
And there's no international breaks to catch up on this season either, so
No.
you end up you don't get those 2-week breaks. So where you can give your Wolfenden, your Downs, your Scousers, when you can give them a couple of days off, then you sort of want to, don't you?
We've got to get Hughes on the pitch, haven't we? Somehow we've got to get. I know he's back, but we've got to give him some game time and get up to speed, because he could be such an important player for us.
Interesting. So off we go to Luton on Tuesday night, and then they're coming thick and fast, and so are the podcasts. We will be back. Can't remember who's on. I'll review on with Rich on Wednesday.
I think I am.
Yeah. So Joe and Rich are going to be.
I'm on about 5 in a row now.
Oh, great stuff. I'm on holiday.
Give the people what they want.
Yeah, I'm not around for a while, which is totally giving the people what they want. Joe and Rich will be doing the Luton game, and Joe, you'll be chatting a bit about Peterborough beforehand. Mikey is back, I believe, to do the Peterborough game, but it's really now starting to kick in, Dave, and it is, as Mick would say, Saturday, Tuesday, certainly up until the end of August now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I saw a stat yesterday, and we're gonna. He's thinking of putting together when a suitable week comes around, as we exhausted quite a few last season. When a suitable week comes around, putting out another history show. So that is in the offing. He was on good form yesterday. Stat.
Lovely stuff. So lots of stuff happening. Obviously, if you've gone this far, you've probably subscribed over on YouTube and on Acast or iTunes, wherever. Obviously, follow us on Twitter at Blue Monday ITFC. We need more questions than ever, and we get more questions than ever. Dave, where can we find you on Twitter?
David Diamond 3.
And Joe?
At Joe Fairs.
Thank you, guys. Lovely job. We'll see both of you, whatever Richard's brilliant
Soon.
podcast spreadsheet says. Bye from me. I will be back on the 23rd, which is my birthday, and probably back on the pod that midweek or weekend or something. Please don't yell at me on Twitter. I won't be at an Ipswich game until August the 31st against Shrewsbury. I'm allowed a holiday. Okay. Say goodbye, Dave.
Bye.
Say goodbye, Joe.
See you later, guys.
Say crap, Dave.
Crap.
Do an office quote, Joe.
Oh no, now we're on the 100-point countdown. 96 points left to go.
96 to go. 2 points per game. 92 projected. Thank you, everybody, for
I want to
listening.
hear that extrapolation every week.
Extrapolation.
2.2 points a game.
92 points.
In February.
Yeah. Oh, God. We're up then. Great. Bye, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.